Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm Kay Hill, and if you're new here, come on in. Today's video is going to be a first impressions review of the Ricoma Creator. I've had it for a few months now. I am learning the machine, experimenting with some different designs, teaching myself, digitizing at the same time. So it's a lot going on. But I wanted to hop in because when I was making my purchase, there weren't a lot of videos about the Ricoma Creator. So I thought this would be helpful in terms of a new person looking to purchase one. I went with the Ricoma Creator after reviewing a few different brands, and based on, because I'm totally new to embroidery, I wasn't already familiar. And I decided to go with this machine, a multi-needle machine, as opposed to a flatbed, because I knew that eventually, once I learned embroidery, I would want to utilize it as a business tool. I already knew that. So I didn't want to, because a lot of times people recommend, do I go with the flatbed? If I'm just getting started with embroidery, do I start with the flatbed machine or do I go with the multi-needle? Multi-needles are rather expensive for someone new or a hobbyist, and if you're not really sure you're going to like it, it could be quite an investment. But at the same time, a flatbed is also quite an investment too. It can be a couple $1,000s. And what I didn't want to do was buy a flatbed, start using it for business, and get stopped out by the limitations of the flatbed, and then have to reinvest and lose the initial outlay of that first investment. So I just went ahead. It was the end of year and they had some sales and promotions going on. I'm not sure what the price is now, but they always seem to have some type of promotion going on. I'll leave a link in the description below and you can get more information if you're interested. So yeah, that's why I decided to go ahead with a multi-needle first time out the gate. I chose the Ricoma Creator, which I've later found out is essentially the same as the M1010, except the display panel is updated, it's more modernized. I think with one of the main features that I preferred was that with the Creator, you can send your files wirelessly to the machine as opposed to having to always save them to a USB file and putting the USB file back and forth between your computer and the machine. And I like the idea. That to me seemed like it would save a lot of time. And also the panel was fancier, and I kind of got caught up in that. It does seem to be slicker, more intuitive from my online comparisons, and so that's why I went with this one. So let's go back to when I first made the purchase. I decided to make the purchase, and they told me that they would call me when the machine was ready to be delivered. Now I'm expecting this is a big delivery. It has to come on a pallet and be unloaded and stuff. So I'm thinking it's going to take about a month for me to get my scheduled date. I think I've got some time. And at the time, my garage was a hot mess. I had chairs all over because I rehab chairs as well. So I've got supplies, chairs, stock from other projects, and tools and stuff. It was a grand mess. 2 weeks later, I find out that the machine is being delivered in 2 days. Somehow I missed the voicemail. I guess they tried to contact me or something. So I just ended up seeing an email saying, your delivery is ready, it's about to come. I didn't get the phone call. So I was totally caught off guard. I literally had to spend a whole day organizing my garage to have space to put this machine in. I had to haul everything out on the front yard, in the driveway. Folks thought I was having a garage sale. I wasn't. I was just trying to clean out my garage to make space for this machine. It doesn't come necessarily white glove. They won't set it. They don't necessarily have to put it in the place that you want it to go. However, if you talk to the driver, normally they will accommodate you. And so that's what I did. They only have to deliver it to the edge of the curb. But I did have a nice conversation with the delivery driver who was willing to work with me and help me put it in the actual location that I wanted it to sit in, at least for the time being, until I could get it unpacked. And I gave him a tip for being helpful because he didn't have to do that. So there's that. The machine is finally delivered. I have a little bit of space in the garage, and now I have to decide exactly where it's going to go. You see where it ended up. I originally had another shelf here And so I pulled that out, relocated that so that I could have this against the wall because the plug is conveniently right behind there. So I thought that would be a good space for it. I was a little concerned about keeping it in my garage, but because of the weather fluctuations, but for convenience sake of the other things that I work on, it made more sense to have it here than actually in the house. So that's where, okay, so cool. We've got the machine in. I had my handyman help me put it on because I put first of all, it comes with everything you need. You don't have to think about anything. I think maybe some basic tools like a screwdriver or something, but other than that, everything is included. They give you, not only, it came with the stand, came with the machine, quite obviously. They give you thread to start out with. They give you stabilizers to start out with, and they give you this cool little toolbox because you will have to be somewhat of a maintenance person. Not too much though, because there's actually a lot of support, which is another reason that I went with them. They come with support, video trainings, also live trainings, and then tech support, video chat tech support. So if I felt confident that if anything went wrong and I needed help, there were ways that I could get help instead of just emailing back and forth trying to explain what you're talking about. That tends to get frustrating. So the fact that I could talk to a real person, that I could live chat with the real person, that gave me a lot of comfort and was another reason why I chose to go with Ricoma. And they give you this little maintenance kit, so with bits and bobs and extra bobbins and things like that. Although I probably won't use these. I'll probably end up just buying pre-wound bobbins because, you know, who got time for that? It comes with the extra flat bed, and then it comes with a set of hoops as well. I might insert a picture of that as Editing K works on this video. So believe it or not, I had the machine set up and I sat on it for 2 months. I did not even turn it on. I didn't do anything. I don't know what it was, but for some reason I was excited, but I was intimidated at the same time. So I was like afraid of it and didn't want to get started. Until finally I got to the point where I was like, this is ridiculous. You have invested a lot of money in this machine and it is not going to sit here because you're scared of it. So I finally, because I had already watched the pre-recorded videos, I had finished them. It had been like another month had gone by. And I did not sign up because after you watch the pre-recorded videos, which teaches you how to, so then that's actually not true. Let me rewind, because I did turn it on because I did the pre-recorded videos, and that helps you thread the needles and do the initial setup so that when you go to the live training, you're already at a starting point. You're not doing the beginner stuff during the live training, just to maximize your time with the technician there. So I watched the pre-recorded videos, but I hadn't signed up for my live training. And that's where the time had passed. So I finally said, enough is enough. You're going to get over this fear. You are going to schedule your appointment. So I scheduled the appointment, and it was about 3 of us on the call, so a very small group, which meant that the technician, the trainer, had a lot of time to help us one-on-one with issues. And there will be issues. So that's one thing that I want to share with you. Expect there to be a learning curve, especially if you're totally new to embroidery. And if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you are. Like, for example, when I couldn't get my small hoop on, the little grooves didn't seem to fit. Later, I ended up getting on a live tech support call after the training, and come to find out I had to shave off a little bit of the little groove because it didn't fit exactly. But I wouldn't have known that on my own. I didn't want to do anything that drastic. I would have been scared to break it. But the tech support guy said, no, this is normal. This is what you do. And then boom, bam, it was fixed. But I'll give you an example. When we were doing the live training, we did 2 things. We did a flat piece, and then we did a hat. Actually, one of the main reasons that I got the embroidery machine was because I wanted to focus on doing patches and hats. So the hat part was really exciting for me. Come to find out, and actually what happened was my thread kept breaking for the flat piece, but it stitched out perfectly on the hat piece. Go figure, because they say the hat is the harder one to do. But that turned out to be my experience. But anyway, this was what I made during the live training. Just my name. And what we did was we practiced selecting different colors, of course, putting it in your hoop. You can see the outline of the hoop that I use, and going through the different features of the machine so that you could do your first piece. And like I said, doing my hat was actually a lot easier than doing the flat piece. They sent you a few designs prior so that you would have it ready when you were going to the live training. And this was one of the files that they sent. This is designed for hats. Something different about the way that you digitize for a hat versus a flat piece, so that I think it goes from inside in the middle outward instead of across, like normally it would embroider from start to finish across. But with hats, it starts from the center and goes out on each side, I guess to accommodate for the curve. But it stitched out quite nicely. So I'm excited to get started with doing my own hats. Now, like I said, my main focus is to do custom patches and different patches for small businesses and things like that. So I got started on my patches, and this one was an example. I just had some denim fabric lying around, and so I used that to do a rough edge patch, and you'll see how that came out. Main character energy. See, will it focus? Yeah. And that turned out nice. This design I purchased online, pre-made from, where did I get this one from? This one was from Embroidery Designs, I believe. Because what I did was, when I first got when the machine first arrived, I got excited and I started purchasing a lot of designs so that I can practice and experiment with. Now, what I didn't know was normally on your computer, you have a preview automatically of any image that you have. The interesting thing about embroidery files is they don't come with an automatic preview. Your computer can't tell what that file is. Unless you have a digitizing software, you won't know. What I did was I purchased quite a few files, like maybe 10 files, 20 files, actually probably more like 15, 20. And they just come with a string of letters and then extensions. So like Ricoma files are DST. So it's file name.dst. But for some reason, digitizers just give it a alphanumerical string of characters instead of describing what the file actually is. I don't understand why they do that. I actually had to go through and match up the file that I downloaded, which was previewed in the store of the online store, and then what was on my computer to add the name myself, because I couldn't tell what that file was. What I didn't realize was that I had to have some type of digitizing software in order to see those previews. I know that a lot of people use Embrilliance, but Ricoma gives you a year free of their digitizing software, which is Chroma. So once I finally downloaded and installed Chroma Inspire, boom, all of a sudden I could see the previews. So that helped out quite a bit. So after stitching out my first few designs, I'm giving you my first impressions, like I said. And first impressions are that I'm very happy with my purchase. I'm happy with the choice of going with Ricoma for a few reasons. First of all, the salesperson was very helpful. He didn't do a hard sell. His name was Angel, and if you want to talk to him, let me know. I'll point you to him. But he was very informative. He was not heavy-handed with any type of sales pitch. He just answered my questions, gave me the information that they're supposed to give you. He answered my questions, and then it was left up to me to decide. I didn't feel pressured at all. Actually, I compared 3 companies. One company seemed like they had an attitude even responding to my initial pre-sale questions, so that turned me off. The second company was blasting other companies. They were asking me, who are you considering? And so I listed off the brands that I was considering. Oh no, they don't have any type of support. Their stuff is trash, blah, blah. And I was like, seriously? This person is bashing the other company? That is so unprofessional. So that turned me off. And when I spoke to Angel, like I said, the contrast was quite stark because he didn't high pressure sales. He was very helpful, informative, and I had a few back and forth questions, and he was cool with it. When I did make my decision, I reached back out to him and we got started. So it was that I really enjoyed that process of the pre-sales process, I should say. Then the other thing that made me go with Ricoma was the fact that they have a lot of online tutorials. So they've already built up their library of how to get started, ideas for designs, how to digitize. If you want to start a business, here are some suggestions. They have a lot of resources is basically what I'm getting at. And I like that as well. They also have online forums like Facebook groups. I haven't been as active in their specific Facebook group. I've been active in other embroidery Facebook groups since I've actually started stitching out stuff. But the fact that they have it there is very reassuring. Also, I'm big on customer service. I actually have Shopify, and this is not a Shopify video promotion or anything, but I have a Shopify store. And if you know about e-commerce software, Shopify is not the cheapest one on the block. But what I like about them is their customer service. If I want to talk to a live person, I can talk to a live person. I don't have to spend 3 to 6 to 7 days, sometimes more, emailing back and forth, and you're trying to describe your issue. They assume you're saying one thing, but you're talking about something else, and you just waste so much time. So the fact that you can talk to a live person is a big deal. And then the added bonus of live video support, that just took it over. That was like the icing on the cake to me. So I know if I have a problem, I have somewhere to go. Because again, I don't necessarily want to be a service technician on this machine. I want to be self-sufficient to a certain extent, but if something happens, I want to know I have somewhere to go and I don't have to wait half a week to get it resolved. So that's why I went with Ricoma. So now that I have stitched out a few designs, I'm really, really enjoying the process. Now, I won't sugarcoat things. There is a learning curve. Some things are intuitive, but a lot of stuff is not intuitive. So there's going to be a learning curve, getting to know your machine, what to expect. There were a couple of times where I thought my hoops were broken because I couldn't fit them on there. Come to find out, there's a specific orientation, even though it doesn't necessarily say that. One time I put my hoop on. I wish I had a video on it because I thought my machine was breaking because the arm of the machine, when I started stitching, it was wobbling like this. And I'm like, it's not supposed to do that. It's not supposed. So I stopped it. Come to find out, I had hooped it upside down. I had it on the wrong way. And that's why it was fluctuating like that. So because intuitively, let me see, you think that the fabric is supposed to lay on top. But no, it's supposed to lay inside. And so once I flipped it over and had the orientation right, it stitched out just fine. But it had been a while, and that's another thing. Stay on your machine, especially as you're learning in the beginning. Don't let weeks go by in between sessions where you're practicing something, because you will forget. That repetition is what makes you comfortable and become fluent on your machine. So that was one thing, the putting it in upside down. Then the next time I tried to hoop it, the little pegs on the slats that let me see. So when you slide your machine or you slide your hoop into the machine, they have these little grooves that tell you that go in a specific orientation. And I had it the wrong way. So I thought that my hoops didn't fit again. I thought it was something wrong with the sizing because I couldn't get it to fit on. Come to find out, I just had it the wrong way. And those things you find out as you go, but that's why it's important to not let too much time pass in between sessions that you're working on something, working on a project, especially as you're learning, because things are not always intuitive. And you need to build up that muscle memory. So needless to say, I will be on my embroidery journey. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm having fun so far, and I'm excited to see where this will take me and my business, because I'm doing laser engraving, embroidery, sublimation, and I actually have a photo booth too. So basically all about custom and corporate gifting. So you'll see projects sprinkled into the channel here and there. And if you're interested in any of those things, click that subscribe button. I hope this has been helpful. And if you are considering Ricoma Creator or any of the Ricoma machines and you'd like to speak to somebody, let me know. I'll leave a link in the comments below. If you have any other questions, leave those in the comments below and I'd be happy to answer them for you.